what's up, bootstrappers? Be sure to stay hydrated, man. It is a hot one. 3 inches from the noonday sun. What song is that from? All right, man. Whew, it is hot today. And I'm only in California, Northern California, where it's not supposed to be that hot. But it is. In fact, I'm not too far from Redding. Redding is like the most like sunshiniest city in the nation. I think number 2, sunshiniest city. If that's even a real word. Hey, what's up, Eric? Okay, so got a little tip for y'all. I'll share with you some information, and then you guys can tell me what you got going on this week and how I can help you. So I'm taking off with my family tomorrow. What's up, Eric? We are going to down to Visalia to visit my folks, look at some property, and then we're going to head over to the beach. We're going to go to Pismo. Haven't been over there for quite some time. Last time I went over there, I tried to surf and failed miserably. But actually, I take that back. Last time I was in Pismo was with my mom when my daughter was 1 or 2 years old. My oldest, who's now going to be 9, and I have 5 kids now. What's up, Mildred? So we're going to go to Pismo. We went with my mom, like I said, about 8 years ago for Mother's Day. But Randy's on this one as well. Awesome. So we're going to go do that, check out the beach. Splash Cafe is one of the best restaurants for clam chowder. These bread bowls that they toast. It's like, it's to die for. I love it. It's so good. So I'm super excited about that. I'm actually more excited about Splash Cafe than I am about anything else on this trip. But because we are looking at property, guess what? This entire trip's a write-off. Yep, that's right. We're writing this trip off because we are looking for property in those areas. So anyway, wanted to share with you a little piece of advice and information that I just discovered because, yep, that's right. You're learning from my mistakes here, guys. That's what bootstraps are all about. So I sold a property back in, so I bought a property. I bought it subject to the existing debt. This was back in October, November of 2016. I bought this property. And it was in Sacramento, sweet house, didn't need a whole lot to it, like maybe $1,500 and like a little bit of cosmetic. That's all it was, like a little bit of patchwork on a carpet, and that was about it. Hey man, thanks, I will, Eric. I'll totally enjoy the coast. And so I bought this property, and this is back when I was still struggling as an investor, needed some cash, needed something. So I was like, okay, I got this cash flow thing going on. So I sold it on a wrap. Now, if you don't know what a wrap is, so when you sell a property, I took over, I own the deed. I have the deed in hand, and you can sell the property by doing a lease option, which is just basically a lease, and you're giving somebody the option to purchase it. You can do a contract for deed is another way of doing it. Basically, it's just a contract between you and them that you'll give them the deed once they've satisfied all debt requirements as far as making the monthly payments. It's like when you buy a car, you buy a car and you're financing it from the bank. You don't have enough money to do that, so you go through the bank, and when you make that final payment, they then give you the title or the pink slip to the car. Same thing with the property. And why is that so important? Well, it's important because once they have the deed, they have ownership. I mean, they have registered rights as a registered owner, but they're not the true, what we would call a fee simple owner, which means that they own everything free and clear. And you don't actually necessarily need to own it free and clear to have the deed. The deed just says that, hey, I own this property. So you don't necessarily want to give the deed, because when you give the deed up, you give up control. And that was exactly what I did. There was a Texas investor. He's like, hey man, I want to buy this property. I got the money to put down on it, because I was asking for about, I think, $18,000 down on the property, 10%. And so he's like, yeah, we'll do that. I'll have my attorney draft the deed. All of these things will happen. And one thing led to another. He didn't have all of the money. He had like $7,000, and he's like, look, I'll make payments to you, all this stuff. And me, I'm like, okay, crap, you know what? I'm getting behind on on things. I'm making these mortgage payments. I need to just get out from underneath this. So I took the deal. So December of 2016, I took the deal, took $7,000 with the promise to pay me more in the future with a cash flow of $200 a month. Well, guess what? Once this guy has the deed, guess who has control? He does. He owns the property. He's on title. And so the only way that I can go and get that deed back is by foreclosure. And I'm like, oh, geez, what am I doing? Don't have the money. I just can't do this. And so I have just been, for like 2 years, just pulling my hair out with this guy. And so finally, it went into foreclosure. The lender forged some foreclosure documents to make it happen. He cured the debt, brought it out of foreclosure. There was a rescission filed. And then something retarded, I don't even know. I mean, it's probably not the right word to use. But something like really bizarre happened where the rescission is on file. It's recorded. And it was never the rescission was never rescinded. And it's still in default. He tells me that everything is current, and yet I'm getting notices, and the guy who I bought the house from, who's like livid, the dude is like, man, I'm gonna take you to court, I'm gonna sue you, you destroyed my life, my credit, because like he's going through a divorce, he missed a couple of payments, no big deal, we bought the house, we're gonna bring it current, his life would be on track. Well, all of a sudden now he's like, you haven't made a mortgage payment for 2 years. And my house has been in foreclosure for 2 years. My credit is destroyed. I can't buy a house. I can't buy a car. I can't finance a mattress. I can't do anything because you've destroyed this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so like he reached back out to me. He's like, I want this off my record now. And I'm like, okay. So when this guy stopped paying me, so again, he bought the house in November. He stopped paying me. I waited 90 days because in California you got to wait 90 days for default. So in March, I filed a notice of default with the guy. I did it all myself because I went to an attorney. In California, we're a dual state. You can do a non-judicial and a judicial foreclosure. And so non-judicial says that means you don't have to go to court. You can just notice of default, post the auction date, and sell it. Judicial is we got to go to court. We got to wait for them to file their response, their answers. It just takes a long, drawn-out process. If you own the property and you're defending the foreclosure, you always want to go judicial. If you own the property and you're taking it back because of a non-payment, you want to go non-judicial every single day of the week. So I first take it to a non-judicial company that are going to do foreclosures. They substitute themselves as trustees and they foreclose on these properties. And they read the wraparound deed of trust and they're like, I'm sorry, we can't do that because there's a certain clause that has to be in the paperwork, which is a power of sale clause. And there's no power of sale clause. So since there's no power of sale clause, it's a judicial foreclosure because the power of sale clause allows them to have the power to sell non-judicially. So because that was missing, I had to go to an attorney and I'm like, oh crap, I can't do that. This is going to be outrageous. So I just let it sit and sit and sit. And I kind of, it sucked, man. It was so bad. So bad, you guys. I'm like begging with the dude. I'm like, dude, please come on, just sell the property. He's having bad tenants. They're not paying him. He's not paying the mortgage. He's not paying me my the difference on my wraparound mortgage, all this crazy stuff. And so I'm just ignoring it. I'm just like, forget it, man. I can't even deal with this right now, which is like the wrong thing to do. The guy that has the issues, I've been telling him, I'm like, look, man, I don't own the property anymore. I sold the property. I can't really do anything. He's like, but you're the one who I contracted with and you sold it to somebody else. I don't care. You're the person that I'm coming after. And I'm like, dude, I don't own the property. I don't know what to tell you anymore. What's up, Ian? So all of these challenges, and I'm like, look, the best thing I can do is like pay to repair your credit. But I mean, in the meantime, it's still going downhill. So like I said, in all of that, this guy, this investor from Texas, he brought it current. Supposedly, it was rescinded. And then, I don't know, the lender's Ditech, and I call it Ditech, and they're like, oh yeah, it was like $2 short or like $20 short, so we sent it back. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. No one does that. No one sends money back when they wire money to you. It's this huge old just crazy thing. And again, I don't care. It's this dude's problem, not mine. So, and I'm like, whatever. So I got a call last week by the owner of the property, the original owner who I bought it from. He's like, look, I don't care what you have to do. You need to fix this. And so sure enough, I log into Ditech and I'm looking at the mortgage, and it says, and they have no record of the mortgage being paid at all. Nothing. Like no payments for like the last 6 months. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like now it's like 18 grand is owed. Fortunately, the property value has gone up tremendously. The property, when I bought it, was I bought it at 175 and I sold it at 195. And the right now the property is probably worth about 280. It's crazy. I mean, it was located in Sacramento. It's in a great area. It's in it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. It's a really, really cute home. I don't know what it looks like now. It's probably crap, but still, I mean, there's money that I can, pay for this to get into it and, get out of it real fast. So anyway, I finally decided, I got to do the right thing here. I gotta hire a non-judicial attorney. So I've been calling around, and I finally found a dude that would accept it. So I met with him today, and the first thing he tells me was he was a cool guy. He was down in Sacramento because that's where jurisdiction's at, and I don't want to pay a guy up where I live to go down and, you know, pay for a property that, you know, pay drive time basically, you know, because he's not in my area. So anyway, I did a phone consultation with the dude, and in the phone consultation, he basically goes, and I had this thought too this morning when I was sending over all the paperwork. I had this thought was to read my deed again, just to, you know, make sure. So I didn't do that. Of course, I didn't listen to that little intuition. You know, hey, listen here, guys. Listen to your intuition. When your intuition tells you something, you're going to learn something. And I ignored it, of course. And which is not what I normally don't do that. I am pretty intuitive, and I normally do listen to my intuition. But this time I just didn't. I don't know why. I was in a hurry, stressed out, kind of worried about stuff going on, and getting my family all ready to go for our vacation here, you know, a little mini vacation down to the coast. So I'm talking to him on the phone, and within the first, like, I don't know, first 20 seconds of the conversation, he goes, look, man, this particular this wrap here, it's Texas jurisdiction. I can't do anything. I'm sorry. And I wish I could help you, but I can't. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Texas jurisdiction. So here I am thinking, like, you know, this guy's like, you know, several $100s an hour, and I'm just like, you know, I've already budgeted the money. I'm ready to rock and roll with it. And so he's in Texas, or I have to go to Texas now. So the attorney was totally cool. He's like, look, I'm not going to charge you for this. You know, I can't help you. There's nothing I can do. So, you know, thanks for your time, but whatever. And so no, not going to charge me. The good news is in Texas, man, you can foreclose on properties in like 10 days. California, it's like a 9-month process to go judicially. You know, non-judicial, 6 months, you know, 201 days. So it's a little bit more than 6 months, you know, 201 days. So like 6.5 months. But judicially, man, you are looking at like at least 9 months. And if they answer and they drag out their answers and stuff like that because they know what they're doing, it could be like a year, man. It could be crazy. And this guy already told me, he's like, don't worry about, you know, serving me. He's like, serve my attorney. And I'm like, oh, okay, man. So anyway, I just found out that since it's in Texas and it goes by Texas law, I was like, at first I was like, oh man, this guy's his Texas attorney did this, his Texas attorney did all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, jurisdiction's in Texas. And then I'm like, wait a second here, Texas has some of the best foreclosure laws in the nation. So moral of the story is, when you got a problem, man, hit it head on. Like, if I would have like just did what I needed to do back in, I mean, this poor dude's credit has been trashed, man, because I've been avoiding issues. Again, I don't own it, so I mean, it's kind of like a catch-22. I do own the debt that I'm, you know, I'm servicing the debt basically. I have, you know, I'm carrying the paper on it, but I don't own the asset. I sold that asset, so that investor has not been doing what he is supposed to be doing. But if I would have just pulled the trigger and gone forward with the foreclosure, I would have found this out a long time ago. I would have already been in Texas. I would have already done what I needed to have done, and I would have had the property back months and months and months ago, because this guy has he hasn't paid anything. He's like, I got canceled check stubs. I can show you everything. I've made all these canceled payments and stuff like that. I've made, you know, all these payments. And I'm like, well, you know what? It doesn't matter because I'm foreclosing on you, bro. I've just listened to his story this entire time, and I've bought it hook, line, and sinker. And, you know, so, I mean, there's several lessons in the story that you can learn from. One is, don't be desperate for money. Hold off until you get, like, all the money. Like, that's what I did. Like, I only took 7 of the 18, and I should have got the other 11 up front. This guy didn't pay. Number 2, if you're going to do a wrap, if you're going to give up control on the deed, you need to make sure that they got some serious skin in the game. Again, I used to do 10%. I got a guy now that says he doesn't do wraps unless they're going to give him at least 25% down. I'm like, whoa, dude, 25% down on properties? Like, yeah. Then they're not going to default on you if you do that. So I'm like, okay, so there's some serious learning curve for me on this particular situation. But the biggest one is if I would have just faced my fear, and again, my fear was I don't have the money. And that's a lie, because if I don't have the money, what do I do? What do you do in this business when you don't have money? What did the Beatles do when they wanted a swimming pool? They went out and wrote a song. They went out and wrote a swimming pool. What do you do when you need money? You go out and you find a deal. Anyone can do that in this business. That's the beautiful thing about this business, that you're just one deal away from changing your entire financial future. So if you have a problem, you just go out and get a deal, change it, you guess you're done. I mean, I learned that lesson here recently with some really, really troubled tenants that I had that we were going back and forth to court. It cost me a lot of money. And I had this epiphany one day when I was swimming that, you know what, I'll out-earn my problems. I got some problem tenants, guess what? I'll go get some more properties, and I'll just continue to out-earn these guys. And everything they brought and they put in front of me, I mean, they put in one problem, and I'm like, boom, another house. Another problem, boom, another house. Another problem, boom, another house. And I just was slowly just out-earning these guys, and finally they exhausted all the resources that they were done. But the same thing is like, you know, my mindset back then was like, oh, I'm so poor, I can't do this. I'm a poor real estate investor. I'm struggling. I'm on food stamps. And yeah, true. I mean, that's what Bootstrap was all, you know, it was built on that. It was built on me bootstrapping this from the ground up. But I failed to have the mentality early on to see that the wisdom of, look, if I got a challenge and a problem, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hustle. I'm going to get another deal, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pay for it. And that's just how you do it. And that was the biggest challenge that I had. So if I would have done that, you know, early on, what I do now, I wouldn't have had this problem. I would have already been in and out of that property. Or maybe, I mean, at this point now, I think I need to sell it. I just need to sell this property just to clean this guy's credit up. Actually, I take that back. I'm on the fence again, because probably one of the best things I could do for this guy would be to keep the property and make on-time payments for a number of years. It'll build his credit back up because it's been destroyed. Because paying it off that debt and then he has no other credit, he's just going to stay in the hole for a long time. So that's all. That's what I've got, guys. Is you know what, when you got problems and challenges in life, don't run from them. Face them, because you're going to find that when you face them. I mean, I wish I would have found that, you know, faces sooner. Like I said, I would have realized really early on, like, oh, hey, I can solve this problem. It's not that bad of a deal. I would have realized, because I don't know how much Texas attorneys are, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to go out and get more deals. But so keep that in mind. Whatever challenges you guys are facing, you know, just jump on them, man. Jump in. The sooner you can jump into your problems and your challenges, the faster you're going to find a remedy for them. And that's the truth. The quicker you act, the quicker you find solutions. All right, guys. I'm Ryan Nickel, and you're just one deal away from changing your entire financial future, or you're just one deal away from out-earning your problems. So, oh no, the lights are going out.